Alright, so now we're easing on into video 2. Again, if you would get out PowerPoints and your worksheet, then you'd be prepared. If not, just go ahead and hit pause and get that out. I've included here a map so that you can keep this kind of over to the side and have in mind what the colonies will look like. These are going to be the English colonies that we'll be talking about as we go forward. You can kind of keep in mind some of these different locations for things that we'll be talking about as we proceed. But we're going to go through some of the different explorers and where they came from and where they ended up. So for English explorers, you see we just have the one here at the beginning. We've got John Cabot, who is going to come to Newfoundland, and this is on the east coast of Canada, so up above Maine. He is going to come and explore and look at that area, and for a very long time we thought that he was the first one to come and explore in that area. This is where history will change on us sometimes, since in the 1960s there was an archaeological find that had us come to realize that the Vikings had actually gotten there much, much earlier in the 1400s. For Spanish explorers, they're more of the ones that you've learned about in the past, that you're more familiar with, like Cortez. Cortez is going to come and explore for Spain, and he will end up in Mexico, and he is the one that ends up going into the Aztec capital and meeting Montezuma and so forth. And they will not get along well, and the people will become very angry with Montezuma and end up killing Montezuma. Then you have Pizarro, who will go into South America, what is today Peru, and he will go climbing up, and imagine all their armor and so forth, climbing up into the Andes Mountains, where they will discover the Incas, who had a kingdom something like 200 miles long and only about 6 miles wide, so just really tall and high in the Andes Mountains there. You have Ponce de Leon, who is coming over to Florida, and I know that you're familiar with the idea of looking for the Fountain of Youth. That is not his main goal in coming over here. It was to explore and maybe claim some territory and so forth, but they were keeping an eye out for a Fountain of Youth, just in case that myth ended up to be true. So they did keep an eye out for that. In the area that today is New Mexico, you have Juan de Oñate. He's probably one you're a little less familiar with, but he's going to be over in that area of New Mexico today. And there will be significant mistreatment of the native people there, who then will revolt against him. That's going to tie in with a theme we'll see later on, where Spanish colonies in what today makes up the United States are just not really going to be successful in the long run. And part of it is the way they treated the Native Americans, and then the revolts. They were often in fear of the Native Americans and never felt secure enough to have successful colonies in a lot of areas. Combine that with not finding the gold and silver they really wanted as well. For French explorers, you have Verrazano, who's going to explore along the east coast. You have Jacques Cartier, who will discover the Gulf of St. Lawrence. And him being in that Gulf of St. Lawrence, which is the St. Lawrence River is going to make up part of the border between today's United States and Canada, if you want to look back at your map. That's going to give France some claim to Canada there. You have Samuel de Champlain, who is going to come and explore Nova Scotia on the east coast of Canada, and then coming down and exploring around Quebec. And again, this is giving France some claim to Canada. You have Marquette and Joliet, who are going to come down the Mississippi River to about where St. Louis is today, and that's going to give France some claim to the area around the Mississippi River. And then you have Robert de La Salle, who will come all the way down the Mississippi River to the Gulf of Mexico, where New Orleans is, and again give France claim to that territory as well. All right, so we'll leave from this and go on to Chapter 2, Video 1.